Recording in progress.
Okay, this is a meeting of the, let me turn this off. Where's the sound? There we go. Okay, this is a meeting of the Wellfleet Selectboard, Tuesday, November 18th, 2025. The time is now 6:01. Here at the Wellfleet Adult Community Center and online. As normal, we will start with announcements and public comments. Public comments are limited to no more than 3 minutes per speaker and are allowed to speak once during open comments. The board will not deliberate or vote on any matter raised solely during announcements and public comments. So to start off with, are there any announcements from members of the board? Barbara?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Barbara Carboni. So I attended on November 3rd an event at the school that was put on by the Regionalization and Efficiency, or the other way around, Efficiency and Regionalization School District Study. So it was a really good turnout, especially considering it was pouring. Our members of the school board attended. Principal O'Shea was there, a number of other people with the school, and it was a good event, and I just thank everyone who turned out for that. There will be further opportunity for public comment after the consultants put together the findings from the different outreach events, so I'll just report on that when we have more info. And then today I attended here a lunch put on by Lasagna Love, Family Table, another org that I can't remember, by the COA, Friends of COA, and it was to kind of highlight what the services they provide, and also just heard from both the police and fire chief and town administrator about just town issues. So it was a really great event.
Just to follow up on at least that one. So Sheila and I also attended the same event. We didn't all sit at the same table, so there's no quorum.
Yeah.
But yes, so all three of us attended.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. I should have
worries.
I should have noted that. My apologies.
Also the state's announced Mass Works grants. The town's received 2 of them. There's one for the Payne Hollow project, and then there's also another MassWorks grant for the Maurice's effort. And then also I was going to ask if the executive assistant would talk about the former principal clerk.
I just wanted to announce that on Monday, November 10th, the principal clerk, who was the principal clerk for the town of Wellfleet for over 25 years, passed away. She was in her home and surrounded by her family. There right now is no services that I've been told. There will be a memorial service and a celebration of life in the spring at one of the Wellfleet beaches. Jean McLaughlin. Thanks, Ryan. Sorry.
Yep.
All right, thank you. Anyone else on the board?
I am just going to give a shout out.
Your mic.
I'm going to give a shout out to whoever organized a wonderful event tonight that was held at the Wellfleet, at the What Theater in Wellfleet. And it was called the American Revival. And it had Yo-Yo Ma. And this was a free concert. And right now they're enjoying a lovely Thanksgiving dinner there that I did regretfully leave. So I'm giving myself kudos for that because I'm not, otherwise I'd be happy to be here. And it was really just a wonderful event. His son Nicholas organized it, Nicholas Ma, and it was really a celebration of thanks and coming together, something that Wellfleet does very well. And I just want to thank whoever put that together. I guess it was Nicholas and friends. Great. Thank you.
Okay. Is anyone else on the board? Anyone in town administration?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. With that, then I will open the floor up for public comment. First in the room. Seeing none. Chris Merle, you have your hand raised.
Yes, I do. I don't know if you can see me or not.
I can hear you.
There you go.
There you are.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, I don't know, but the screen's kind of weird. But I just wanted to make a request. When we were switching to the Zoom platform from the meeting platform before, one of the townspeople's major conflicts or complaints about it was that you couldn't see who else was on the meeting. And now, since most of the town committees, Wellfleet committees, I attend quite a few different boards and committee meetings in the town of Wellfleet on the Zoom platform, and a lot of the other committees actually have at the bottom of the screen, they have a participant button that you click, and it shows you all the attendees on the right-hand side, and it will also let you know if they have put their hand up and whatnot, or if they're muted or whatever. And I'm just curious if we could get our select board meetings to do that. It seems to be just a setting, since most of the other committees in town do have it set up that way. So I was just hoping to be transparent and so that people will know who's actually attending the meeting, whether their hands are up, aren't up, whatnot, if they're trying to get acknowledged. I just think it'd be a more transparent way to do things. So I'm kindly asking that someone maybe request that setting to be put on. And that's all I got. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Yes, could you do that? Chris, I think you may get an answer.
Chris, this is Gabriel Morton from Media Services, and that decision, I believe, was made in the spring by the Select Board to switch over to webinars, for example. I think all the regulatory boards have been switched over to webinars. We're now waiting for, I think there's about 9 or 7 other boards that I'm waiting to hear back from to see if they want to opt in. But that's not a settings issue, that's a complete format issue due to security. So it's not a setting that can be changed, it's a completely different way of running the meeting online.
Thanks.
Sarah Flagg has her hand up.
Okay. Sarah, if you could go ahead and identify yourself. I think you're.
There she is.
Did it unmute?
Yep, you're all set.
Oh, hi, Sarah Nichols here. 2 things. First, actually, I was going to, what Chris just brought up, and I heard that response. This is another thing I've pondered, kind of piggybacking off on what he said. So when people are talking online and you're viewing from online, you see the screen of all the online participants, but you don't see the select board. I don't know if that's possible with, the changes that have been made, but I know in other Zoom meetings I've gone to, there's the main room, so where the select board is like the main screen, and then the participants are on the side. It's kind of nice to see who you're speaking to and see their reaction. I don't know if that's an option or not, but that would be nice as well. And my second point, just that today a group of us submitted an appeal regarding property tax minimums, and wanted to highlight that for the board and the town administrator. Hopeful that you guys will take the time to read it and get back to us. We would appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Sarah.
And then iPhone 6.
iPhone 6, could you please unmute and identify yourself?
Nope.
Unmuted and everything.
Okay, are you there? iPhone 6.
He's unmuted.
I just unmuted
Yep,
him.
okay.
Okay, iPhone 6, you are unmuted.
Maybe it was a mistake.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't want.
I just muted it now so that we can move on. Chris Miller raised his hand again.
I go.
Trying to get back in here. Oh, there we are. Okay, iPhone 6 apparently no longer has their hand up. On the,
I think Mr. Merle's hand's back up.
yeah, I see it is. I suspect it has something to do with this issue. So go ahead, Chris. Chris, you'll have to unmute.
Meeting start, it took me a
There
second.
you go.
Yes, I heard Gabriel, what he had to say, and I appreciate that. When he actually came up to the mic, the bottom of my screen actually changed, showed the participant button to click, and I clicked it, and it actually came up on the right-hand side. I'm not sure that if you rewatch this video, but it just showed me that you actually had the exact setting on that I'm asking you to put on. So I don't know what different platform it is, but you had it on for a few seconds while he was explaining to me why we can't have it on and why we'd have to change platforms. So I don't know, maybe I'll rewatch it, try to explain it better next time, but it was just on a second ago. So you were able to see all participants in a box to the side, not the whole screen with people who are actually like this, which you're showing right now, but an actual box on the side. You click on participants and you can see everyone that's on there.
Okay.
And-
Mr. Merle,
Yeah.
if I may, just to clarify what's going on. So in a webinar format, if you're in the audience, you just see the video. If you're invited to speak, you change from being an audience member to a participant. And when you're a participant, you see the full interface. When you are then muted again, you're then put back in as an audience member. So it's quite possible that the other meetings you've attended for the other boards and committees, you're promoted to being a participant for the entire meeting. But it's only participants of the meeting sees what you're articulating. And when you're just an audience member, you don't see that.
If I could just add to that, and some of the boards and committees, non-regulatory committees, have not yet matriculated over to the other.
Right. Okay. Yeah, hopefully that answers any questions.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Chris. And I see that iPhone 6 has their hand up again. Should we try again? It's showing unmuted here.
Well,
It looks like it's a phone in. I wonder if there's an issue there.
If there is an issue, it's completely on their end.
Okay. All right, well, let the record show that we have twice tried to have this person able to weigh in. So the problem is evidently on your end, whoever you are. So see if you can get that straightened out, and next time around we'll try again. All right, so do we have any other hands up? It does not look like it. Okay, in that case, we'll move on. Oh, we do have a hand. Oh, got the hands up again. I'm sorry, we can't keep trying to do this.
let it roll.
Yeah, we're going to have to keep moving on. There's obviously a problem on this person's end that they'll have to work out. So if there's no other hands up, we're going to go ahead and move on to the consent agenda. Is there anyone on the board who wishes to remove anything from the consent agenda?
Through the Chair?
Yes.
Not to remove, and I'm sorry, I just noticed this, that the third item on the agenda, the common victualer's license for Blackfish Variety, maybe I just lost it in my packet, but do we?
No, you guys don't get one. It's an online application.
Okay.
We just put it in front of you as a renewal
Oh,
for
okay.
2026.
Got it, thank you.
You'll get a longer list as the year comes closer to an end.
Yeah, we'll do that in December. Yeah.
These guys just got early.
Okay,
Okay, in that case,
thank you.
I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move the consent agenda, which includes a use of town property for Habitat for Humanity, use of town property for the Wellfleet Chamber of Commerce, and the common victualer's license for Blackfish Variety.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Barbara, aye.
Brian, aye.
Sheila, aye.
Josh, aye.
And John, aye. Passes 5-0. Moving on to board and committee appointments and updates. Item A, to appoint Peggy Oliver as a voting member of the Wellfleet Cultural Council for a term of 3 years. Hi.
Are you Peggy?
Yes.
Peggy.
You can come up here if you
Yeah,
want.
you can come on up here, Peggy. We're here to give you the third degree.
There it is.
Other than being a wonderful counsel, if I may, Mr. Chair, you want to tell us anything else about yourself?
I've lived in Wellfleet, I think it's almost 13 years. Have never really gotten too involved.
Actually,
Yeah,
closer.
pull it closer and it'll stop doing
Sorry.
that.
And just have decided it's time to get involved. And my friend Carolyn is already on this committee, and so I just asked her, you know, how do I get it started? And so here I am.
Very good. Does anyone on the board have any questions?
Sure. So you have a pretty impressive background, but what is your interest in the Cultural Council?
Really, for the most part, an attender, you know, and just, they put on some great programs, and I enjoy attending them. It would be fun to be a part of being involved in putting some of them together. I don't have an art musical background, but yeah.
I think you'd be a fine addition, and I have no problem in appointing Peggy to this position.
Oh, I don't either.
Okay.
You come highly recommended from other board members, so.
Thank you.
Which congressional district did you work?
It was the first congressional district.
Over or McGovern?
Gone over.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a great job.
Very good. Then, in that case, I'll take
I don't have it in front of me.
a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move, sorry.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I move to appoint Peggy Oliver as a voting member to the Wellfleet Cultural Council for a term of 3 years to expire November 18th, 2028.
Second?
And we need to add to be sworn in.
Yes.
And to be sworn in by the town clerk before you administer any of your duties.
That's right. Second.
Roll call vote.
Ryan, aye.
Barbara, aye.
Sheila, aye.
Josh, aye.
And John, aye.
And I want to just thank the Cultural Council. I think they're doing a great job. I've attended a few things recently, and they've been a lot of fun, so I think you'll have a good time here
Great.
and do good things. So,
Thank you.
all right.
I'm looking forward to
Mr. Chairman,
know people.
Yes.
could we go back to number 3, please?
Number
Yes,
3.
you are done, and you just have to go to the town hall, go to Jennifer on the first floor of the town.
Oh, yes. Oh, oops.
All that stuff. Okay.
How did I get this out of order? Oh, I sure did.
Yep,
Okay.
that's okay. Better they're not sitting around.
Thank you, and thanks for stepping up.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, moving on now to public hearings. Item A, Verizon New England Incorporated and NSTAR Electric Company to approve the installation of one jointly owned mid-span pole.
Is there someone here?
Do we have anybody on for this item?
Hi, yes.
Her name is.
Hi, my name is Lila.
Hi, Lila.
Hello, I'm here on behalf of Verizon. And yes, so Verizon is proposing to install, it's actually 2 poles. I think on the petition that I submitted, there was a longer paragraph that went into the second pole, but on the agenda it didn't quite make it in. So I just want to clarify, it's 2 poles, P29.5 and P30.5 on Chakesset Neck Road. It's essentially going to be filling the gap between existing poles that are already on Chakesset Neck Road, and the wires are hanging too low, and there's some issues with the trees hanging too close to the wires. So Verizon is requesting to add these poles to raise the height and support the existing cables that are there. And I'm happy to answer any other questions if anyone has any.
Okay, I don't have any personally any questions for Verizon, but through the town administrator. Has Jay Norton weighed in on this, or is there any?
He's on if you want to talk.
Oh, okay. Jay, maybe you could join in and let us know if there are any issues there.
Hi, Mr. Chair. I have reviewed this and I have no issues.
Great.
Thanks for asking. Appreciate it.
Sure. Anyone else on the board?
No.
In that case, I guess I am ready for a motion.
It's a hearing, right? So public comment? Just
Oh, I'm sorry. You're quite right. If there's nobody in the room, so do we have anybody online who has any questions or comments on this particular item?
Phone 6 has their hand up again.
Okay, we can try again. This is a public comment, a public hearing.
Can someone hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Could you
Thank you.
identify yourself, please?
It's Judah Hearn.
Oh, hi.
And thank you for trying so hard. As others have commented, this new format's very difficult. You can't just call in a phone call. You have to actually go through the web link. So I don't know when I could make a public comment. When could I? It's about the water that comes later, but I think you're not taking public comments.
So, Mr.
right
Chairman,
now
I suggest maybe after the hearing might be an appropriate time.
Right.
Let's just
Yeah.
finish the hearing.
Okay.
And then
All right, yeah, we'll do that. That would be the fair thing to do.
Very
Excellent.
good. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Sure. Okay, in that case, seeing no other hands up, I'm ready for a motion. I guess we have to move to close the public hearing.
All right.
So I'll take
I move to close public hearing.
Second.
roll call vote.
Ryan, aye.
Barbara, aye.
Sheila, aye.
Josh, aye.
And John, I.
I move to approve Verizon New England, Inc. And Star Electric Company's request for the installation of one jointly owned mid-span pole number 29.5 and one jointly owned mid-span pole number 30.5 on the west side of Chakesset Neck Road.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Ryan, aye.
Barbara, aye.
Sheila, aye.
Josh, aye.
And John, I. Passes 5-0. Now I can move on to business item A.
No, I thought we said we would take public
We'll
comment.
take Jude.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Jude, why don't you unmute? There you go.
Okay, thank you. So later in the agenda, you're speaking about, I guess, a water contract. And I would just like to ask that Tom and/or the board give a little background to the people, because I've been following the water board meetings fairly carefully over the last few years, since we voted to have a wastewater water czar, even before that. And it's just, they haven't had a meeting, I think, since February. I think it's dissolved. I'm wondering how that is going to be worked out in our charter, and a little background as to how we got here tonight and what happened with Whitewater and all the institutional knowledge that went with them. I think there's a new committee of some staff members about water, but it's not a normal committee that the people can follow. So I'd like you all to speak to that, and when you're voting on this, to tell me how you educated yourselves as to what's going on, since there are no minutes since June of 2024 and no videos since February. And Tom, maybe you would be the one to explain, because in that February meeting, they were trying to get you to a meeting. And, that never happened. And now we're in November, and we have a new company that's going to take over our water system. It's pretty major. So I'd like an explanation. Thank you. I'm sure others would too.
Okay, thank you, Jude.
Can we put that on the future
Right.
topic? For next
Yeah,
week's-
well, I mean,
for
well,
next week's?
you will, there will be an.
We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, this will be fully explained in the course of of that business item. So stay tuned, and I think you will get your questions answered. Moving on then to business item A, to review and approve the notice of award letter to Veolia Water North America, LLC, for the purpose of awarding water operations contract. Tom, you want to start off?
Yeah, I'm going to start, then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Bugby.
Okay.
So we were notified by Whitewater that they would not be, we had to put it out to bid. The contract came to bid, and it was due. They informed us that they were not going to bid. They cited what they felt was a lack of investment in the water system, which really isn't the case. It was just deferred a year for the water tank. And my understanding also, although it wasn't in the letter, this is only it's hearsay more than anything else. One of their employees, they've lost some employees as well. So there's a mixed thing. The water department, we've lost the trustees. I'm working with two people right now to get back on the water boards that the board can consider and vote, or we can look at a charter change moving forward. But right now, we need to have some members. The Veolia, well, we'll talk about the Veolia bid. They're very experienced. They're on Cape as well. And they are a worldwide company, and I'm going to let John talk a little bit further. I dealt with them briefly in another community, not in Bourne, but in another community, and they were excellent to work with, but they were the other bidders, so.
The only other bidders?
Right.
Okay. And John?
He should be able to unmute himself.
Sorry, folks.
There you go. Hi, John.
Oh my gosh. You figure after this long I'd get the Zoom figured out. Anyway, so yes, we went out to bid. We got one bid from Veolia, and like Tom said, this was the water operations contract, so the operations of all things water system, maintenance, customer service, security, the DEP compliance, which is a huge component, and I think you have the info in the packet in terms of the proposal. The numbers are all there. It's a little bit more expensive than our previous contract, but that's to be expected. The only other component I will add to this discussion is this is not the contract. This is the notice to award the bid. So the contract will come back to you for approval. This is simply a notice of award, so they can get ready. They can get their bonds in place. They can get their supplies ordered, everything that goes along with the bid award. And the only last piece I will add to this is that although they were the only bidder, they came to the walkthrough and they wanted to see every location. So we spent basically an entire day going from site to site to site, including the storage tower. We went through the entire water system, and they asked a lot of questions. So they are fairly knowledgeable about how it all works. Jay was with us. Pete Morris was with us. So it was a whole day affair. So I feel like they're in a good place coming into this. They're a good company. They've been around for a while. They operate, I believe, the water system in a few other Cape towns. So anyway, that's the very condensed / not so condensed version of where we are.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just two other things. I have also spoken with DEP about this transition, and they are fine with the transition. They work with Veolia a lot as well. But we've also, with them, we've recently signed a contract, $31,000, so it didn't have to come. This is on with, I can't think of the name of the company, but
Apex.
West Stinson's company, I'm sorry.
Apex.
They're going to be doing, they have to do a survey. They got to do a safety survey, which is required by DEP. They also we have to do an emergency ops plan, which is in part of that. That's separate from this, but the water is moving. It's taken a little bit of time, but it's moving. And we will, at the annual town meeting, just so people know, or the first meeting, the May part of the town meeting, we will have the water tank repairs on the Capitol. If the board remembers, we deferred that for a year looking for grants, and there weren't any to be had that we could find. So we're going to put it, we've raised it up from 225 to 260, and it'll be on the capital plan for May.
Okay. And also to understand that Veolia has the capability at such time as we're ready to possibly bid on the operation of a sewage treatment system.
Yes, like other firms of their type, they can provide that service, sewer service as well. I know a number of communities where they're doing that, but there are other companies out there as well. Ty and Bond can do this, Weston and Sampson can do this, so there are other companies out there when we get to that point for Lawrence Road and for the larger facility that is being proposed.
Okay, go ahead, Josh.
I had a question. Reading through their bid packet, it was interesting for them to call out that they are able to secure meters at a highly competitive rate.
Yeah.
I know that if I can't remember which town meeting we allocated a significant sum of money to replace meters. Have we done that, or so?
We're replacing meters as they break or as
Sure.
we're told.
So
Whitewater said we needed to.
So we have the opportunity possibly with Veolia to contract with them and possibly save a little money on our water replacement and not have to spend the full allocation.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Great.
They're also going to help us, Wes's company is also going to help us with planning out capital for water, but I could not afford that in this contract right now. I'll have to do a separate contract with them when we have a town meeting.
Sure.
And any the concerns that were raised previously, something about a meeting in February or?
I don't recall a meeting. I did meet with Whitewater. Jay and I met with them. It wasn't in February. It was in the spring, as I recall. But we did have a meeting with them. It was a while ago, but we did meet.
Okay. And there's no issues with the charter or anything like that?
No.
There's just currently nobody on the
Right.
Board of Water Commissioners.
So I'm meeting with two people, one person on Friday and one person on Monday, and then if they are interested, I'll bring their names forward to the select
That's the
board.
board we recently had a resignation from.
Right,
Well, the other ones went first.
yeah.
Okay. In that case, do we have any further questions?
Yeah, just for everybody. To the town administrator, I asked you the question earlier, basically about the addendum that was included. Can you just clarify that for?
Sure, there were two prices put in the proposal. I think one was 177 and the other 248. And that's the difference between 4 hours a day currently, and that's the current system that we had. And then they put in a price for 8 hours a day. Right now, I do not believe we need 8 hours a day. If it comes to if it comes to a point where they need more time, we will have to come back to the board, and we will have to go back to a town meeting to get funds for that.
Okay, and then second question, and it might be for John, it might be for you. I know it's a little bit more than the previous contract. Approximately how much more is it?
Well, the last year of the Whitewater contract was 103. We know it would have come up. They came in at 177. I'm going to say the probable delta on that without having anything was probably a $30,000 or a $40,000 delta.
Okay. All right, that's it for me.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
So, Mr.
Barbara?
Chairman, this is really more like a procedural thing. I think Mr. Bugby said this was just the award letter and that
Right.
you'd be coming back to us with the contract.
Correct.
The motion includes direct the town administrator to sign the contract. So I
That's
just
right.
wondered, what are we looking to do tonight?
To award the contract and to instruct the town administrator to have a contract created for the board's review.
I'm prepared to make that motion unless there's more comment. Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the notice of award letter to Veolia Water North America LLC for the purpose of awarding the water operations contract and to direct the town administrator to work with town council on preparation of a contract to bring back to the select board.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Ryan, aye.
Barbara, aye.
Sheila, aye.
Josh, aye.
And John, aye. Passes 5-0.
I thank the board.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, John, for your work
Yes.
on this.
Thank you,
Thank
John.
Thank you, John.
Of course, yep, thank you.
Let's see something here. Okay. Moving on to business item B, the bookstore and restaurant, Wellfleet, to approve the closure of the bomb shelter and bookstore for 6 weeks beginning on January 1st, 2026. And I will add, this is for a fee of $250.
Yeah,
I did charge them that and explain that that was the now fee that the select board voted on. I think it was a year or two ago. Ryan, you might know better than I.
Because you do give them a break if they stay open all year round
Yep.
on their licenses. So if they close down, you instituted this
Yeah.
fee to kind of make up the difference, or part of the difference anyways. Excuse me.
The applicant's not here, so last year they came to us asking for a similar closure and explaining it was that they would be asking the same again for this current year to complete the renovations
Right.
that they're conducting. So in the absence of them being here to explain that's what they said last year.
Right.
Okay, well, I'm satisfied with that. And yeah, I didn't see them on the attendee list, so.
I didn't either.
Okay, in that case, unless somebody has any questions, I'll take a motion. And just add into the motion for a fee of $250.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the closing of the bomb shelter pub to close for 6 weeks beginning January 1st, 2026 for updates and renovations necessary to operate the business properly, safely, and sufficiently for the future for a fee of $250.
And the bookstore
Excuse me.
restaurant.
And the bookstore restaurant.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Ryan, aye.
Barbara, aye.
Sheila, aye.
Josh, aye.
And John, aye.
Who seconded that? I'm sorry.
I did.
Thank you, Sheila.
Passes 5-0. On to business item C. To review and discuss the draft policy and set a public hearing date to set fees for short-term rentals. And this would involve Ann Schiffenhaus.
She's here. She's online.
Oh, okay.
So this is her
Wait,
request.
hang on.
It's something that she's been working on.
Okay.
I don't see her.
She's on.
Yeah, she's on. She's just not unmuted. There she goes.
Should be good.
Hi, Ann.
Hi.
Hi.
Yes, so Tom asked me to look into short-term rental registration. and see what other towns have been doing and draft some policy and frequently asked questions and information about what the short-term rental registration, I don't want to say a program, but what it would look like. So I did some analysis. So I know, Ryan, you had mentioned, and I had looked at the Department of Revenue, and I was not able to get the details, but Nancy Vale got them for me on Friday. So I just went through that list of 1,200, and I took out all the duplicates and all the bad data, and it looks like we have 955. And I looked at how many were seasonal property owners and how many were year-round. So that is, and I can send you these numbers out. I literally just got this done like an hour ago. 755 were seasonal owners and 200 were year-round. I also looked and broke down number of bedrooms. And it looks like majority, about 45% are 3-bedroom, a little under 25 are 2-bedroom, and then the rest kind of filter, 3% 1-bedroom, 18% 4-bedroom, 7% 5, and then we have about 4% where they have multiple houses. So we're not really sure if that means they rent all the houses or if they're in the primary and they rent the secondary. But I thought those numbers would help you when you are just in the process of thinking about what type of rental fee at the next meeting you want to consider. And I know Ryan gave me some feedback on some of the policy, which is exactly what this is meant for. So you guys can give your feedback to me and I can edit the policy, or you can do it right now in the meeting. I don't know which way is more convenient for you guys.
Just so the board is aware of basically my comments. So obviously I can't share them in advance of a meeting because that's not quite legal. The first, Anne's actually looked at a number of different towns on how they're doing it, but a lot of the ones that were pre-existing were based off of the Board of Health being the agent, but the state updated the building code, and I sent out an explainer on the state update that they provided. Some of it's kind of funny, like, and one of it's like, even though it refers to the definition of short-term rentals in the definition that's in the definitions, it's actually not in the definitions. And so provides guidance on basically how to interpret the update to the building code, and it's actually the responsibility now of the building inspector to conduct inspections on these properties. There is a difference in the frequency of the times that they have to inspect. If it's a resident that is a residence that's not a primary residency, it's once a year. And for primary residencies that have short-term rentals included, it's once every 5 years. So before I get into my comments, I just want people to realize if Anne's numbers are correct, so that's, over 600, right? And how many?
700 something. 755.
Yeah. That have to be conducted annually.
755.
Yeah, and then the other ones is every 5 years, which is, so if there's about 250, that's an additional 50. And, that's not including, ones where there might be multiple units. And I've already talked to the town administrator about this. I just don't know how the state can expect us to inspect that many units in that time frame. You're talking about, basically there's going to have to be at least one additional staff member hired to do this. And I just don't know how that's necessarily going to work. Especially because a lot of these properties, you might not necessarily be able to inspect in the off-season. You know, they shut down for the winter, drain their systems, turn off the heat, have a property management company check on it once a month. And I just, like, from a practical standpoint, I just don't know how we'll be able to do it. Provincetown provides an example of how they've been able to do it, but they have, basically, they have one full-time person that's totally dedicated to doing it, and then they have additional staff that also provide assistance on doing these inspections. And I'm not sure if theirs was every year or not, but from a practical standpoint, like, this is a huge ask of towns, particularly of our size with this many short-term rentals, on how we're going to structure this going forward. And I want to just preface things by starting there. And then, I don't know if other board members have a thought on just the scale, and then I can get to my individual comments.
No, I'll expand on that. That's really an excellent point you raised. That amounts to having to inspect a minimum of 3 of these structures every day for the entire year.
Right.
That's just to put it in sensible, tangible numbers. It would be impossible. In my opinion, also, you know, given the history here of people renting out spare rooms and cabins and so forth, probably for the last 150 years, with very, very little in the way of documentable problems, it's just something else that strikes me as a solution in search of a problem. So, yeah, that's just to tack on to what you were saying.
Yeah, it is a state requirement now, though. Just
Through the chair.
Yeah.
Couple of things to pick up on. I've been able to think a little bit more after our conversation today. I'm not sure what kind of legs claiming a unfunded mandate would get at the legislature, but it's probably worth a letter. Just to let people know, probably it would be interesting to see how it got picked up. I'll leave it at that. The other thing, though, this is going to be another program, okay, an additional program, and we're going to have to establish a fee structure, the select board is, that covers the cost of the inspections, and that may be a new inspector to work under the building commissioner, okay, to do these inspections, and enough for, if it's going to be, you know, May to October that you're doing this, you may have to pick up a seasonal person to assist that's qualified. So you've, notwithstanding the unfunded state mandate question, you're going to have to we'll build you a budget to show how this works, and then it will be up to the board to determine whether that's something that's acceptable for the town or not.
Sheila?
Is there a timeline of, like, this has to be implemented and in full function by this date?
Ian?
Yeah, so the way other towns have structured it, and Ryan knows not everybody's, some are doing you self-inspect, which I don't know, that's the way it's been done in the past. I think with this new mandate, it's going to have to change for all towns. But typically, you're not going to issue your rental registration certificate until it's passed inspection. So the way this process would probably work is you would have a probably 3-month period where you would be doing all the inspections. So like March to June 1st, depending on when people are trying to start renting their properties. So it would be a very crunched, probably, I don't know if it would be a full-time or a part-time person, but for a very limited amount of time to get all these 755 inspections done. So it'd be somebody full-time for a couple months to get them done.
Well, and just to, Mr. Chair, through you, and it sounds to me that the first year would have to be all 955.
Yeah. It would be, yeah, about 1,000 actually.
So, working, and what's the average registration fee that Outer Cape towns are charging these days?
It's honestly all over the place, from $50 to $750, but I'd probably say on average, it's probably around between $350 and $450. And that is inclusive of, the expense for inspection as well, administration, et cetera.
So at $450, that would be $429,750. I think, I understand that it's going to be a human resources issue. I don't think it's going to be a funding concern, however.
We can't hire additional staff without the approval of town meeting to appropriate the funds.
Well, we might need to have
Even if we are raising funds from fees, town meeting still has to appropriate.
Sure. Oh, I feel like there's going to have to be quite a bit of bureaucratic finagling to get this done.
DOR also does not let you count fees that haven't been collected yet. So it would probably have to be a Proposition 2.5 override unless there was some other line item that the town administrator could pull from, or maybe a stabilization fund or something along that line.
And we may be able to make this, I'd have to talk to, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead.
We may want to talk to Sue Moquin. Maybe this can be set up as a fund without need of further appropriation, or put in as a revolving fund where you can cap the amount that's spent as well. There may be ways also that Ann and I will have to work. We may not be able to pull off 900 in 3 months. But we may have to stagger it and do a phased in roll if the law allows and the timelines allow. But that's something that we'll have to come back with you on with recommendations.
Ann, what was the figure on full-time residents with short-term rentals?
200.
200?
Yes.
Sheila?
What I was going to suggest that until our next discussion about this, that we ask the administrator to draft a letter that outlines and states all of these things that have been stated here, what are going to be the deterrents for us and may slow this implementation down, and the burden it will put on the town as an unfunded mandate. And see what happens with that, send it to the powers that be, and of course our legislative delegation. And I think that's what we could do in the meantime, and then have this discussion again on how are we going to tackle it. But it doesn't sound like it.
I'm not sure I'd play the lottery on the odds.
No, I know, but it's always good to just put your stake out there and let them know that this may not happen overnight, and if they want to help us out, we could probably get it done faster, but again, they're throwing a lot at towns right now.
What's Mr. Chair, through to the town administrator, what's the enforcement mechanism by the state?
Yeah.
I have to imagine there's a number of towns in our position.
I don't know what their
penalty
would be, but there are certain things. They could withhold state aid. They could make you ineligible to apply for grants. There's a number of sticks that can be.
Would it be appropriate then to ask you to draft a letter to bring back to us at our next meeting to ask for a year grace period so that we can get this going? Try to inspect as many as we can, but this might not be done until.
So that's two different letters. All right, that's fine.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm just thinking out loud. Is there? Do we?
What's the deadline? Or is there?
What do we have for a deadline, Ian?
Well, the deadline already passed. This was passed, the building code was passed in January of this year, and you had 6 months until July 1st. So at minimum, we need to at least get a rental registration online permitting process, should I say, up and running. I don't know about the inspection side of it. I can find out. But, in theory, it's you register, you pay your fee, and you schedule
Your
your
inspection, yeah.
inspection.
All right.
Barbara?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, I mean, one reason we have this schedule of inspections is because some people from Massachusetts perished in a rental in New York. And I think, I would just hope whatever we're asking for, we should emphasize, you know, this is something we take seriously. We need compliance so that people aren't endangered. And at most, I, you know, ask just for some understanding that it will take a while for this to happen, but I'm not in favor of a letter that says, we can't do this, you know, please don't make us do this, because this is something we need to do.
I'm not suggesting to say that we can't do this.
Right.
What I'm saying is to express the burden that it's putting on, and it may not be done within their timeline, obviously, since it's passed, and that it's not something we're ignoring, but this is the burden that it's putting on a town like this, and if you want to do it all in one letter, then somehow maybe put
I
in
can finesse
two,
it.
two, yeah, okay.
And then, this is a really important issue, but I wonder if we were going to talk about sort of other aspects of the draft that Ann prepared, sort of policy stuff, so.
That was the intent.
Yeah, I just wanted to start
Okay.
with that
No, I get it.
larger picture first, so.
So just first, I would just like to thank Ann for putting this together. It's really, it's there. I mean, we may have some tinkering to do, but I really appreciate all the effort that Ann put into this. I have a couple thoughts, but I'll share them after my colleagues share theirs.
I had one amendment that the board might want to consider. And it adds some language to section D, the definition of fee and inspection. I mean, this is going to be, you know, so right now it says, the last sentence, fees reflect the cost of administering and oversight of the short-term rental registration program, on-site inspection, software, if applicable, and enforcement of the requirements in this policy. I'm wondering if the board would consider striking the word and, adding a comma, and then saying, and the additional financial and administrative burden short-term rentals place on the town's efforts to plan for, preserve, and support year-round workforce and affordable housing in accordance with regional and state housing goals. And the reason for that is that then if there is any amount left over from the cost of inspections and everything else in the definition, we can apply those funds, let's say, to funding the housing coordinator, which only has 2 years of funding through CPC. It could possibly go towards funding parts of Maurice's or parts of the Wellfleet Affordable Housing Trust. I think it's well documented that short-term rentals has put a significant burden on affordability in the Outer Cape, and I think we should add that to the policy.
I would be in support.
I would too.
Yeah.
So I have some individual comments throughout. The first is the board, all the references to the Board of Health should be probably referred to as the town instead of the Board of Health. For there needs to be some differentiation between the primary resident units and the ones that are not primary, because they have different requirements, which is new. The fee and inspection, the fee should be set by the select board. And that's in D currently. Right now, it says the Board of Health. After a public hearing, it should be set by the select board. The ownership and parcel limitations, I really don't think make sense.
Where is that, Ryan?
So if you go down from the end of the letter ones, it goes 1, 2, 3, 3 pages down. Should be big, bold letters.
Which one is this?
Oh, no property rights?
Ownership and parcel limitations?
Ownership and parcel limitations. And I know some of this is from other towns, but basically, it says that one short-term rental is allowed per each unique parcel number assigned to a residential property. So if you have let's say a cottage colony that's on one parcel, each of the individual units has to have its own separate certificate. But this language as it's currently drafted would make it so that you could only hold one certificate, which would mean that would only apply to one unit. And the same would also go for, if there was a condo association, because those are, again, the single parcel, even though there's separate owners of the individual units. So I would just strike the ownership and parcel limitations altogether. And then the fractional ownership, I think the interval and timeshare is fine. The fractional ownership, if you think about it, let's say if it's two people that own a house together, each one of them owns a fraction of that house. And so, that would basically require, if it was strictly applied, that each individual property be held by a single entity, and not necessarily, two different people. And so I would just strike the fractional ownership, but I would leave the rest. And then I'm always hesitant about unpaid property taxes. Sometimes that can happen through no fault of the property owner, but obviously our collectors do an amazing job of collecting. We actually have a really, really high rate of payment of taxes. But I think, I don't know, I can go both ways on it. The short-term rental might be the way that somebody is actually able to pay their taxes. And if they're unable to pay their taxes, then they're unable to rent the house.
The catch-22.
Yeah, so I'm a little concerned there, but, I can go either way on it. And then the other comment I really have is kind of, we need to run this by town council. And determine what sections might actually require a bylaw to happen. So like a number of these are coming from Provincetown, where they've actually enacted general bylaws through the town meeting for specific things such as fractional ownership. And I just want to make sure that we're copacetic.
Okay.
That's it for my comments, really. Yeah.
Mr. Chair, through you. I'm curious to the first challenge of the ownership and parcel limitations. What was the motivation to include that? Where does that come from?
That's a question for Ann.
That's a question to me? Well, I kind of looked at 6 different towns all across, not just in Massachusetts, all the way Colorado, California. But when I went through this DOR of the last couple of days and saw how many, like Ryan said, fractional ownerships there are, and condo associations, there's a lot. I mean, I didn't know there was that many, but going line item by line item, it would make a big impact. So I already have a note to take that out.
Okay.
Yeah, through the chair.
Yeah.
It may be, this is to Ann and all, can we sort of make space for a fuller discussion of this, of how to deal with the cottage colonies, and some of them are condos, so those are individual owners, but some
Correct.
of them, but a cottage colony kind of falls into a separate category, so I think maybe if we could have a little more discussion of this next time, because I think it's kind of complicated.
Currently, the IGR kind of requires each individual unit to be separately inspected and
Right.
with a separate rental registry. So even if there's a single person that owns a cottage colony, they'll have to hold separate certificates for each of the individual cottages on the cottage colony itself, if they're rented on a short-term basis.
Okay.
So, they kind of treat all units as the same.
Okay. Yeah. So through the chair, I think this has come up in Truro, kind of the status of cottage colonies that have been converted or haven't. I would just suggest we might, to address cottage colonies specifically, maybe we can just add some language in here that says, it spells that out a little more so it's clearer, because I know in Truro it's less clear and it's been an issue. So that's all.
I could see an issue as well where you have a principal dwelling and an ADU, and there might be times where they want to rent both out.
Currently, our zoning bylaws prohibit the renting of an ADU on a short-term basis. However, I would say that, well, we'll see. The towns are able to place some limitations on protected use ADUs, but I'd have to reread the legislation. I think that the property owner can, I forget how it's worded. I'd have to reread it.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I may have been mistaken. My understanding was if it wasn't a protected use ADU, then the property owner did have the right to use it as a short-term rental.
No.
No? Okay, thank you.
At least not under our current zoning bylaws.
I'm not sure if I follow that, because I have a little cabin on my property. I rented that out for years on a short-term basis.
I feel like that's pretty common practice in town, so that's why I was curious.
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
All right.
I think through the chair, I mean, towns can prohibit short-term rentals of ADUs,
Oh.
but they don't have to, so I'd have to
Right.
have Ann and Beth look at our bylaw in particular.
Yeah, our current bylaw prohibits.
For every,
If it's what I'm doing?
Probably. But if you're pre-existing, I don't know, non-confirm, I don't know how it would work.
I don't know. Next question.
Yeah.
I mean, just because the board was kind enough to say it about my recommendation, I'm generally in support of Mr. Curley's suggestions of those amendments as well.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think, my personal opinion is that I think unpaid property taxes is something we should leave in. I think that,
It provides a stick.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I remember from, maybe this was a few years ago, there was a common conversation around the beach sticker was really the only thing we could withhold to get someone to pay their bills. And, now if we can also have this as a tool, I think that's worth keeping.
Yeah, as I said, on that, I can go either way, but I don't know.
So, go ahead.
No, thank you. We don't allow other entities to do business if they owe back taxes. They can't get a license if they owe. And I just think we need to be consistent with that. I understand Ryan's points that some people may need the rental to pay the tax and they're in that catch-22. But we have to have some sort of other enforcement mechanism.
I mean, I know people that have inherited a home as a good example, where the only reason that they were able to keep it was basically they were able to rent it on a short-term basis for this, the first summer that they owned it.
Right.
And in those cases, it could be possible that there was outstanding taxes on those properties. If somebody inherits a home, it doesn't necessarily mean, you're already looking at probably capital gains and I don't know what else, but.
Wouldn't they also, just to play devil's advocate in this argument, wouldn't they be able to take out a small amount of a HELOC to bring themselves up to par?
Home equity line of credit.
Probably.
So, if they're inheriting a home, you have to imagine there's some equity in it that they could pull out to pay taxes.
Yeah.
And maybe if it's in an estate, all right, it's in a will or whatever, and it's being, if the estate owes tax, maybe there can be a waiver on the owner as they're going through that. I don't know.
Sure.
It's just a thought.
The property is still in probate, but then Would they have the authority?
Yeah, I don't know.
This is above my head.
Yeah.
That's why we have Carolyn.
Yep.
And then one other comment I had that I'm in support of, I just want the board to see is basically the requirement that if it's held by a trust or LLC or other similar instrument as the property owner, that the underlying property owners have to be natural persons. That I strongly support that as well.
Where's that?
It's, it's towards the end of the bold.
So essentially what you're trying to prevent is a shell company.
Yeah.
So there's a potentially limitless trail of non-people to
Yeah.
go out. I understand. Yeah,
Oh, there we
Your
are, corporate.
ownership. So, people do structure their assets, in trusts and LLCs, and there's multiple reasons as to why people do that. I certainly don't want to limit the ability to do that, but definitely I would really want to ensure that they're being held by actual people.
Body, yeah.
So, Brian, did you?
Barbara?
Yeah, so through the chair to Ann, can we go to required documentation on the first page? First, whatever that is, second page. The first required documentation is proof of primary residency at the dwelling unit to be offered as short-term rental. So primary residency meaning, that's where the person is domiciled. But if we have all these people, the vast majority of these are second homeowners or non-residents, what is, I guess, if we're requiring proof of primary residency, what are we requiring of people for whom it's not their primary residence?
Yeah, that's why I said there needs to be some differentiation between the different classes.
Got it, okay, I get it, so same
It's
issue.
actually in my notes here.
Okay, yeah, I didn't realize that you were getting at the same thing, so, thank you.
We'd like to need to have some addition of, or proof of ownership or something like that.
Whatever it is,
Sure.
but we
Yeah.
can't require it to be their primary residence, otherwise only, but we
We'd only
could.
be at that 200.
We could,
Yeah.
correct, yeah, and I might want to tinker with purpose a little bit, but that's not worth spending time on now. But again, I think this is really, there.
Yeah, it's really good work.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but the other, so I guess we were going to talk more about how do we deal with the inspections and what we asked Tom to do, and then we'll look at this again in the future and just tinker with it some more. But it's great, so that's all I had for tonight, thank you.
So are we not going to entertain a motion tonight, or?
I think that was the hope for tonight, but it appears that the board has some clarifications that we need to bring forward before you are able to vote this.
Okay. That would appear that way.
Right, and again,
But we will be submitting some document in the tax bill to let them know it's coming, if nothing, we'll have to work that out. But we'll have FAQs or whatever. Ian's been working
Right.
on those, so.
Yep, there's the end.
All right.
This was a good piece of work and.
Well, thank you,
thank
Ann,
Ian
for all
that.
this hard work that you put into this.
So before we lose her, I can just have a quick question for Ann.
Sure.
So Ann, now that you've got the list from the assessor, can you associate them with an address if necessary?
Yeah, it's everything. So I just went through, pulled out dupes, pulled out anywhere, well, dupes just in terms of an address. I went through each one and verified the owner was the owner on record, because the records go back 5 years. So if somebody was renting in 2019 and then they sold in 2021, It could be there twice. If there's not another record, it means that person's not renting anymore. That's the assumption I made. But, you know, we could have more than this. I mean, this is just what the DOR knows. But it's pretty solid. I went line item by line item and verified everything. So it's a good start. You know, it's definitely something that I could format and share when we go for the inspection, so they know how many bedrooms they're inspecting in advance. So that's kind of why I did the front work. So if I have to look at the apps or the registrations when they come in, I've got a document to know what they're putting in is actually what they have, and I can flag the ones that aren't, you know, the same information.
So, you know, we'll probably have to send out a mailing.
That's what I was going to say. We have to tell people.
So, I mean, the tax inserts, so, you know, they're great. Not everybody, I mean, some of them just have, you know, the banks pay the taxes and they don't even open them and see a tax insert.
Would you
So-
send it out just to the people that are going to do the short-term rentals, or to everyone?
I don't know, because, you know, you'll get ones that might be doing it for the first time, or that, you know, might be renting already and not declaring it with the state, which is not great, obviously, but people do it. And that's lost revenue to the town as well. But particularly where the building code is requiring these, I think we also have a duty to inform as well. You know, yeah.
So, through the chair.
No, Barbara?
So, I'm not saying we should do this, but in Truro and other municipalities, we pay a vendor that scrapes all the short-term rental sites to report to us people who are posting but not registering with the town or the state. So, again, not saying we should do this because it costs money, but in theory it pays for itself because you pick up folks who are non-compliant. So it might be worth just finding out, and I can do that informally, kind of the costs and the benefits of
A
doing
lot of
that.
towns do that.
Yeah,
A lot of towns do it.
Yep. So another issue for us to think about another time.
I think I have an estimate for one, but it's probably 6 months old. I might have it might have just been verbal, though.
I have estimates.
Oh, okay,
Oh, great.
great.
One thing that we found is that they only scrape the largest sites.
Correct.
So like, you know, they'll scrape Airbnb and things of that nature. So some of them are reporting that, you know, Wellfleet had basically 300 short-term rentals in the town, and you know, basically, yeah.
Well, I'm sure some vendors are better than others, so.
I think the DOR is a pretty good vendor to give us the information first, to start with that.
Oh,
I mean,
sure. Yeah.
if we get close to this number when we put up a rental registration, I would be
Yeah.
thrilled.
Right. Oh, no, I agree, and that is
Yeah.
definitely the first step and maybe the only step. I was just pointing out that to the extent we think there are people who aren't compliant at all, there is a way of trying to catch those, but again, separate decision, you know, for another day, depending on whether we think it's worth it.
Yeah.
As we put together,
Maybe Josh and I will go into business on scraping local websites, and
I have a full stack team ready to engineer it.
you don't need to put any cloud battery backups in here though, right?
Oh,
No, no.
okay.
All right.
Cloudflare might need some help today.
yeah.
All right, so what we're gonna, I just want to make sure that we are all on the same page. We're gonna go back, make some changes, bring them back to you for your review, for hopeful implementation at the next session.
Yes, and to Ryan's point, finding out from KP about, I mean, whether we want to put it in a bylaw.
Yeah, I've got that, yeah. Town
Okay.
council review for
Yeah, I
bylaw
think-
needs or not.
I mean, I think the answer is yes, at some point. I mean, we should get started with this, but I think most towns have it in bylaws by now. the short-term rental part.
All right.
We're now the keeper of that.
Well, shall we move on then?
Thank you very much,
All right, thank you so much, Ann.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Ann.
I'll update the edits and get it back to you.
Great.
Okay. Have a good night.
All right, you too. Moving on to business item D, Josh Yeston to review and approve the documents for the role of the Select Board clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You may remember a few months ago, back in August, I proposed a policy that just defined the role of the clerk. Since then, the town administrator has solicited feedback from various department heads.
Twice.
I want to give a shout out to Jay Norton and Suzanne Kraut-Thomas for giving some excellent feedback. It's been incorporated. There's a lot of, so you have the red line and the clean version. It's the October 28th draft, so if you have August on top, ignore it. That was the first one. There's a lot of just formatting changes, change board to select board throughout.
In our packet, we only have the August.
No, oh, I sent you the.
I got the October.
Yep, I sent it to you digitally. And said this should go into
Take
your
mine.
packet.
Okay.
Because we got it when, yesterday?
Mine says August.
Yeah, we got it yesterday.
Is this out of date?
But I have the October one.
Oh, okay.
Yes, you
Because
do.
I slid it in before you guys picked it up.
Got it, thank you.
Can I follow it on?
Would we be able to put this on the screen? Rebecca?
Yeah, that
Is
might be
possible?
easiest.
Yeah.
We can share.
It's-
There's not a huge amount of changes.
No, I mean, substantially, the only changes are board to move to select board. I changed the language slightly on from elected to, from appointment in term, second paragraph. It used to say, until a successor is elected by the select board. Now it says voted on by a majority of the select board.
Oh, okay.
And do you want the red word lined, or do you want the clean?
Red line. But I'm good at this point, so.
So through the chair, I did have a question about correspondence management, if we could talk about that for a minute. So the red line, the new red line stuff, yeah. So the first step is clerk monitors and responds to correspondence addressed to the select board. And first bullet point, responses are limited to confirmation of receipt unless the select board by majority vote expressly authorizes a substantive response. So the way that would work is you would bring it, would there be kind of an agenda item, like a standing agenda item, maybe clerk's request for authorization to respond, something like that? So we would be authorized, it would be discussed at a meeting, and we would authorize you at the meeting, and then you'd respond.
So the way that I see this working is that every time somebody emails or sends a letter
Yep.
to board of BOS at wellfleet-ma.gov,
Yep.
I simply say, dear, insert name,
Right.
the board is in receipt of your letter.
Right.
Very best, Josh. That's
Right.
a boilerplate.
Yep.
I've noticed there's some friction in town of people sending letters to us and they never hear it back at all. They don't even know if their email got to us. So yeah, I think it's a courtesy. Anytime, but anytime the response moves beyond that, then yes, it would be a discussion at a select board meeting.
Through the chair, one of the things I've been a little concerned with the correspondence, and that's just, not every email needs to be in correspondence. It would be request for something, a letter from the state saying X, Y, Z, but an email from John Doe to the select board as to what time does the park open? You know, that would be handled internally. We would answer, so I send you stuff that I think you need to see.
Yeah, sure.
But it doesn't necessarily.
So to address your concern, it just prohibits the clerk to respond substantively. It does not prohibit town administration to respond. And so.
No.
Is that your?
Yeah, I see potential conflict in as much as if the TA responds, I'm not going to let you know every time I respond to an email.
I get that.
And then the board clerk responds, and maybe they're not the same.
Right.
I imagine, I imagine needing, any clerk in the future needing the board to deliberate on a response would be a pretty significant letter that I feel like it would be very few and far between. It's really just a guardrail to make sure that a future clerk doesn't, kind of go off on their own, speaking on behalf of the board when it's really not appropriate for them to do so.
Okay, it's just,
And then,
just a concern.
No, 100%. And I think that if you look at the second bullet point, if a substantive response is authorized, the town administrator shall also be consulted prior to submitting the response to maintain effective communication.
All right.
And then, I think we could add as practice, or we could put in the policy that, so to Member Carboni's suggestion of having an open agenda item, I don't think that might be appropriate, because
No,
I don't
because-
want to sandbag anyone at the last minute to run into a foul. So I think we would have to have a specific agenda item
Yeah.
that would meet the deadline of the agenda, and so then you would say, well, I already responded to that, and we
Yeah.
could weed it out that way.
Okay.
Yep.
It can be worked on. I just.
Sure. Yeah.
And through the chair, though, also, now that I think about it, for open meeting law purposes, if we're going to be discussing something, it's got to be on the agenda. So it couldn't be just generically respond to correspondence.
Yeah.
It would have to be, I don't know, someone brings up something about, use of the COA or something like that. We'd have to put use of the COA on the agenda. Yeah,
yeah.
so I get the idea, it's just thinking it through. You're saying this isn't going to happen very often?
I don't imagine so.
Okay.
If I could, I'm just going to give you my experience of being the clerk for however long I was the clerk. And when I would receive to the select board, this is my concern, at one point we were having a lot of people talking about when we were going through septic regs and that sort of thing and sewering. Don't forget about this particular section when you're going to sewer. So there was this
Right.
whole colony that wanted to make
Yeah.
sure. And what I would do is say your letter has been received and reviewed by the select board, and you will, and appropriate boards know about your letter, and you will, this is being worked on, or you will hear from them, or it will be brought up at the appropriate time. Just to acknowledge that the letter was received and it has been read is really what I felt people had to know. I didn't have to talk about anything else, and if there was something like, 3 times and, gee, I just keep seeing this, I would go to Tom and say, this letter just keep coming in, is anybody doing anything about it? Or else, and that's really sort of what I felt our role was, because, we could be, as Tom said, we could be saying one thing, and I wouldn't want to be assuming that's the position of everyone, so.
I've answered once in a great while correspondence addressing a particular issue and prefacing my comments by stating that it's my view and that I'm not speaking for the select board.
I didn't even do that. I just acknowledged that it was received, and if it really needed a response, make sure that the appropriate department or person responded to it.
Yep.
If it wasn't this, a general statement from the select board.
Okay.
Just Mr. Chairman, could I add one more comment, which is sometimes the correspondence is in the nature of a complaint. And a couple years ago, we started working on a complaint policy and kind of putting them into different buckets. Some could be handled by the town administrator, some would come to the select board. I just wonder if there's any reason to get back to that at some point, just because there are some questions that are, appropriately in the form of a complaint, and even if and when we adopt this, that is just still hanging out there, that's all. For another time.
I don't think we need to do that. I think we can separate.
I think we do need a complaint policy eventually, because
Yep.
basically what was happening was there was no defined process on how complaints were handled. And so there was no clear, it wasn't clear to, people making complaints, what might happen, what's the process for doing so. And yeah, I think at some point that we do need a complaint policy that kind of lays out the expectations on how a complaint is handled.
And if I remember correctly, most of it, the initial determinations were made by admin. There were very few things that would come to us. So you would be,
Basically doing, I'm fine,
right,
we
but
can
it's
get a
just,
policy.
it's just, to me, I mean, I think we need one. There's been kind of a lull in complaints, but for a while, I mean, but that was not always the case. Okay, but that's not always the case, and I think people do have a right to know that, if they file a complaint, that there is a process for handling it. They may not be happy with the outcome, but at least we're following a process, and it's not just arbitrarily being, ignored or something.
Dismissed, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know.
We can find one, we
I
can.
think, I mean, that Silvio was here at the time. I think he was working on it. Rich, I was working on it. So there might be something already floating around.
Okay.
But not complicated, but it's just complaints.
Janelle. Okay.
I mean, like, MMA might have a.
Yeah, no, I'll find one.
Okay.
I'll find one.
Yeah.
That's not hard.
Okay.
All right.
Yep, so, I mean, I'm fine with this. We'll see how it works. If it becomes apparent that something, it doesn't work, we'll change it. But
Yeah.
I support this. That's fine.
All right.
I agree with that.
Ready for a motion then?
I am, except, I just have one last thought, and that's, sometimes, a letter to the select board isn't really, we're not necessarily the appropriate body. And I don't know, sometimes I just direct people where they should go. So allowing the clerk to do something similar would be probably beneficial. Be like, say, the select board's received this, however, this type of request is handled by.
I think something that is important to note, just in this policy, is that this is the clerk acting on behalf of the select board. It doesn't prevent the individual, we're getting metaphysical here, but it doesn't prevent the individual member. I'll use myself as an example. So let's say somebody sent the select board a note that really is meant for ZBA, right? The appropriate thing to do is to respond to that letter saying that the select board is in receipt of your letter. I would then draft a second email that just says, I've also forwarded this to the ZBA, who's the appropriate board, to comment on this further. So I don't know if we want to put that in the policy. I think that's appropriate, but that's how at least I would personally handle it for the.
I think you have the flexibility under what you've already got here.
Right, and I do think that no matter what the if there is a complaint or something like that, and you feel okay to do it, say, or let's not even say it's a complaint. Let's say it's, there's a pothole here, and, when this is my second letter telling you about this pothole, sending that this has been sent to the DPW, but all of those have to go to Tom, would at least go to Tom.
Oh, I gotta be CC'd on everything, so I
On
at least know
everything,
what's
okay,
going on.
but even if it just goes to us directly, it goes through
Yeah, I
the
mean,
administration's email, correct?
Through the chair, if Josh gets something that needs to go to ZBA, I need to be
Aware.
but if he's not responding, if there's no response, I don't need to be CC'd that there, because I've got,
Right.
generally I have the email. 'Cause
Okay,
whatever you get, I get for the most
Okay.
part.
I just want to make sure you do see them. All right,
Okay.
okay. I'm ready for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to adopt the Town of Wellfleet policy on the role of Select Board Clerk, as amended in the October 28th, 2025 draft.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Brian, aye.
Barbara, aye.
Sheila, aye.
Josh, aye.
John, aye. Passes 5-0.
Thank you, Josh.
And that
Thank
brings
you,
us, thank you, Josh, for another
A lot of thought
round of
into
hard
that.
work. This brings us to Select Board reports. I do not have one. Does anyone else?
Yes, so, and I have to look at the date. So the Cape Islands Municipal Leaders Association is having a meeting next month, looking at the state of education across the Cape. Includes, the superintendent from Nauset, as well as a number of other superintendents. We're both looking at, of course, the changes from the federal side of things, and how that's playing out, as well as, some of the changing requirements from the state, but also the enrollment issues that we're seeing across the Cape, and taking that look at things as well, and where things might be heading.
That's going to be held in Dennis, I believe.
And what's the date?
I'd have to get back to you on the date.
Okay.
But yes, yeah. So there will be a number of superintendents there. I would definitely encourage people to come. It is on Friday morning. That's when those events are always held. I'll double check on the date though.
Okay.
Yeah, I can put it on the town calendar if you send it to me.
I got it too, but
Mr.
I
Chair?
figured all
Yeah,
the select
Josh?
board got it.
Mr. Conroy and I met with the town administrator about the Section 7 updates of the town charter. We had a productive conversation. We're all on the same page. I don't want to speak for the town administrator, but it was a good conversation. We were able to also integrate the timelines that the board adopted for its budget policy, which was great. So we're meeting again on Thursday to button things up. So we should have an interim report to both the Select Board and FinCom shortly on our proposals and next steps. And then if you don't mind, I'll go into correspondence.
Just make sure no one else has a report.
No, I do not.
Okay. All right, go right ahead.
As always, there are various this is correspondence for October 22nd to November 18th. We had various administrative correspondences from the executive assistant and the town administrator regarding scheduling and documents for various meetings. Member Curley notified the board the state does not provide the address or name of holders of of short-term rentals registered with the state. The TA forwarded correspondence between themselves and the moderator regarding Article 6 of town meeting. We received notice that the matter of Sexton v. Wellfleet Housing Authority. The Supreme Judicial Court has denied Sexton's request for further appellate review. Accordingly, this matter is now closed. We received notice from Senator Sears' office about the public comment period for draft regulations for the seasonal communities designation. Member Curley shared the fiscal year 27 draft budget policy and fiscal management goals, along with the final adopted versions of each. We received a request for comment from Delegate Green regarding the county residential transfer fee proposal. The town administrator shared a residential tax exemption report from the town assessor. The executive assistant shared a classification hearing memo from the town assessor. A notice from a member of the public. We received a notice from a member of the public about an issue they were having with a Zoom link for a meeting. Member Curley sent a worksheet from the Department of Revenue regarding the RTE. A member of the public shared their opinion of another member of the public. Member Curley shared a link to a data set of Massachusetts average single-family tax bills. We received the town's final issued financial statements from the auditors. We received a decision from the ZBA on a matter heard on October 30th. We received notice from the Division of Marine Fisheries for the seasonal opening of CCB 13.3 effective November 1st, 2025. Through the town administrator, we received notice how Superintendent Brand is hoping to gather feedback from NPS community for use of superintendent's entry plan. We received notice from MassDOT regarding roadwork notification of contract number 121097. That's scheduled week of 11/2 of this year. We received notice from County IT that they successfully thwarted a cyber attack attempted on town staff. We received a request from POCA Cape Cod to give public comment to the state legislature regarding Wellfleet's pesticide reduction home rule petition. The TA notified the board we are out to bid for water system maintenance contract. Received a request for information regarding a bid for the Wellfleet Skate Park repair and refurbishment. We received a notice of an unexpected library closure. The executive assistant emailed us a letter to the board sent to the NRSC Regional Agreement Subcommittee. Received notification a contractor will be in town taking various measurements for ADA assessments. Received notice of a ZBA hearing on December 11th. Received notice that the Wellfleet Police Department received a Northeast Community Traffic Award and that the DPW received a $9,000 grant for the transfer station. We were notified that the DPW director has hired a new building and grounds foreperson. We received notice from, received notice that on November 12th at the Shellfish Advisory Board that the board voted 4-0 to support the temporary closure of a small area of Duck Creek for a proposed propagation project by the Shellfish Department. Member Curley shared information on municipal vulnerability preparedness programs. I shared the adopted 2026 Select Board and Town Administration goals. Member Curley shared information on a parking parcel at Burton Baker Beach. A letter from a member of the public advocating to make individual homes with storage, privacy, and dignity a priority for Maurice's was received. We received a letter from the Shellfish Constable supporting that previous letter's position. Received a question from a member of the public regarding a rescheduling of a public hearing. We're almost there. Received a letter from multiple members of the public regarding an appeal to the rules and regulations for beach sticker eligibility and use of real estate and tax minimums. And Member Curley shared a state building code short-term rental guidance document. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Moving on to town administrator reports.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Past couple of weeks have really just been budget, capital. We continue to have IT beyond phishing issues. So tomorrow at 3:15, there is a mandatory meeting of all staff. And Ryan from IT will be discussing that and mitigations for that as well. I did want to mention that I attended the regional assessment, the regional agreement meeting last week in Orleans at the middle school with attorney Karis North. She did a phenomenally good job presenting on our behalf. It went to the school committee. We have a different point of view on a couple of areas as compared to the other communities that we had to push back a couple of times, not forcefully, but more emphatically. It will be interesting to see what the school committee takes relative from the comments from the three towns and from Wellfleet and what they massage together to bring forward to town meeting, because this would have to be approved by a town meeting. That's where we're at. That was the end of it. There's no other editorial comment. We'll just wait to see what comes up. But there were areas of, I won't say disagreement, but query. Well, the tax rate, we're in the closing throes of working with the state on that. Ryan will appreciate this. I think the whole board will, but I know Ryan would. So the town passed the $600,000 capital exclusion, okay? And we've sent up all the votes and all the things that need to go, and they're not doing an offset. So it's showing like we have $600,000 in excess levy capacity, which of course we don't. We're buying a truck and we're doing the electrical and we've got that all So we're working with them just to close that out, and I hope that we should have our tax rate by the end of the week.
Okay.
Because that 600,000 kind of throws off your $7.10 per thousand. So, you know, it has to be offset on the other side, and that's what we're working with them now on. And I have nothing further.
Okay, topics for future discussion.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So one was already brought up, but basically the auditors, do we have a date when they're scheduled yet?
They have not been scheduled. They have been asked to give us dates they are available, however.
Okay.
We're about a month behind on that, but we just got the audit, so.
Yep. I'm because we got it, you know, I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
And then we still have to do the town administrator performance review. And do that fairly soon.
Yeah.
Duly noted. Barbara?
Yes, so a couple times when I've mentioned either today at this event here at the COA or to more informally, it seems that not everybody in town, year-round residents, not everyone is aware of what the residential tax exemption is and that they are eligible for it. And so I would like in some way for the select board, either ourselves or possibly by delegation, but I think it's appropriate for the select board to just have this sort of discussion publicly, explain what it is and who's eligible for it and how you go about claiming it. Obviously working with the assessor on that, but I just think, we do hear an awful lot from people, from part-time residents who, for example, successfully argued that the RTE should not be raised. But the other part of that is to make sure that everyone is aware who is eligible to take the RTE, that they know about it. And I just feel a responsibility to make sure the information is out there. So not an urgent item that needs to be soon, but I would hope that we would put that on the agenda.
When we do, should we plan on bringing the assessor to?
Yeah, oh, no, definitely. But just, when I say topic for another meeting, yes, of course.
We would do a presentation type
correct.
in discussion with the select board. Now,
Right.
With Ms. Carboni's, can we do this right after the beginning of the year? Because your December meetings are starting.
No, sure, that's what I'm saying, not urgent.
Okay, so
but I
we'll
do
put it
want-
on right after the first of the year then.
I just think we should explain to people who are just not aware that it exists and who would be eligible to take it, that they know of it, and it's not just the folks who do not like it and do not want it to increase that know about it.
I mean, we have new people, and
Right.
they're not always aware of these things.
Even
Maybe-
some long time, sorry,
Yeah.
Sheila, I'm sorry for talking over you.
No, I didn't even go through the chair, I apologize, but is there a way we could put something on the website, like more information about the our
Yeah, we can do that. We can put it up under
and
news.
have this is what the concept is. You may have done this in your other town when you were a full-time resident there, and this is and this is the process.
We're working on the new website as we
Well, we are
speak.
working on that now.
Trained today, my first training of 3 to learn how to update it and all that. So, for instance, that would be something that is not on the calendar. It's on like special news
Right,
events,
would
so
be a
people
news.
don't have to search it.
Right.
Meetings would be on one side, announcements are on another, so that it's easier to find for the public.
Okay.
Great.
I did have one other, I forgot to bring up one point, and I
But
apologize.
before we move on from the residential tax exemption, even longtime residents, many of them
Right.
do not necessarily know.
Exactly.
On it. I've
Exactly.
had to talk some people through it. I'd be like,
You didn't go to town meeting. Anyway, when it was all discussed back then.
I'll wait for the board to
I just have
finish.
one other request, actually, as much as a suggestion. Lawrence Road is almost, is working along up there, and if there's, at some point, if we could do a walkthrough.
I can schedule a tour for you,
A
I'm
little
sure that
tour,
they'd be
just to
glad
see
to.
what's happening and what's developing up there, and
That would be good.
Yeah, I know that they'd be happy to do that.
okay, good.
But I will.
Yeah, that would be great.
One other thing, and I apologize that I forgot it. We're at the end of the year, okay? And we're waiting on the tax bills to go out, okay? So our cash flow right now is at a low point, which is normal for this. We don't anticipate having to do any tax anticipation notes even for a week or two, but if we do, for whatever reason, we'll let you know. I don't think we're gonna need to, especially if we can get this thing, if they set it this week, we should be fine. But I just want you to put that in the back of your head, that's all.
Okay.
Like, no request for money.
Not yet, and I don't expect that we're gonna need to, but I don't want you blindsided
Okay.
if we have to come back for a short-term, tax anticipation note.
The only future item I have is nothing for a definite agenda yet, but I am working away at the, I'm trying to make contact with the select board chair from Provincetown at this point to get him on board with
The regional meetings?
regional select board meetings for the Outer Cape. And so I'll keep you up to date as I get closer to it, because that will result in an agenda item at some point.
Do you want me to reach out to the executive assistant and see if I can get any headway?
Yeah, maybe you could. I did, and I actually met her. I went to a select board meeting last Monday, but the chair wasn't there. Apparently he doesn't like to sit in on when they're discussing traffic issues. So he gave it a miss. So he wasn't there, but I spoke with the clerk, and apparently my email was forwarded, but I never heard back. That might help.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
speaking of, and I just sent this because I meant to last week, the Cape Cod Commission has reached out. They do have a survey online. They're looking for feedback from anybody and everyone on your thoughts of how the regional transit system works and what could be improved. So I just sent that to you two, and sent it to the board, and it just said to really kind of push it out to friends or anybody,
Yeah.
any associations, because they're just trying to get it out there. So maybe another thing to kind of highlight on the
Oh, that's an idea.
website,
yeah.
but it is a survey that the commission is taking on behalf of the RTA.
That would be a good thing to
so-
put on the website.
Yeah.
We have a new director there, and,
Right,
you know,
so I think
it
they're trying
makes
to get a
sense,
lay
yeah.
of the land as it is right
Yeah.
now.
Okay.
So, anyway,
So are we ready for minutes?
yes.
All right, I do have a correction on the September 24th minutes.
Hang on, let me just grab them so I can do it while we're here.
Let me know when you're ready.
I am ready.
Okay. On page 2, a little ways down from the top, where it says Board Member Yeston moved, Board Member Curley seconded, it was voted to remove the article titled Use of Handicap Fees from the town meeting warrant. Roll call vote 5-0-1. Curley voted no, so that would be 5-1.
4-0-1.
Or 4
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's math.
Yeah.
You're correct.
Okay. That's all I got.
I had no comments on any minutes.
Nope, me neither.
I don't have any comment on the rest. Anybody else? Nope. In that case, should we just move to report, can we move to approve them all?
Yep.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the meeting minutes of September 24th, 2025, September 30th, 2025, October 20th, 2025, October 21st, 2025, and October 27th, 2025, as amended and printed.
Second,
Roll call vote,
Brian, aye.
Barbara, aye.
Sheila, aye.
Josh, aye.
and John, aye.
And I say that was quite a marathon of a few weeks.
Yeah.
It was.
That was.
It was.
I know, I feel like I've had a vacation to the point where I'm like not even knowing what I'm doing these days. So,
I move to adjourn.
second.
Roll call vote?
Things for the next 4
Yeah.
weeks?
Yes,
No,
Yep.
I left it out.
yes, it's
so I
on the
would
end
put
of
it in
that,
my
so it's
phone.
all in Christmas colors.
end of what?
At the end of the agenda, it's on the agenda
Oh.
as printed,
Oh.
and then it's there, and like your next
Oh,
meetings
there.
are this.
All right, yeah.
We don't have
All the way
to
to the
vote on
bottom,
it.
right, there you go.
Mr. Chair, there's been a motion on the floor. It's been
Is to-
seconded.
Yeah.
That's
to adjourn.
non-debatable.
Roll call vote?
Barbara, aye.
Ryan, aye.
Sheila, aye.
Josh, aye.
And John, aye.
Okay, another.